Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant, and welcome to Legal Matters. And as you know, that we discuss legal matters in this series, where we have an expert, Mr. Jeet Bhatt, who joins us from Ahmedabad. So, Jeet, let me welcome you first before we start our discussion. So, welcome to the show, Jeet.
Thank you very much, Chandrakant. Good morning and a very warm welcome to you as well. Thank you to you as well for inviting me in this show.
Yes, Jeet. So I think the discussion topic today is, about what is happening with Republic TV, and we all know that 1,000 people from Republic TV have been booked under an FIR, and this may have a long-term effect. So, would you be kind enough to tell us from the legal standpoint what it means and why this is happening?
Yes, certainly, Chandrakant. It is in the news these days, and we are seeing on TV channels as well. This is the topic of discussion these days. But this raises some very important questions regarding the right press and also the restrictions on the press and how important the role of media is today in our democratic setup. Media is considered to be the fourth pillar of democracy, as apart from judiciary, executive, and the legislature. And it has become such an important source of transferring information and giving up-to-date knowledge to the viewers and the citizens. Media certainly has the role of media is increased in last several years, and today we have 24 hours news channel providing news to the citizens around the clock. But right now, we see there is a lot of uh, investigations and FIRs being registered against media houses, especially what is happening against Republic TV and against Arnab Goswami. So basically, in last couple of months, around four FIRs have been registered against Republic TV and its anchor as well as its owners. So it started from the Palghar incident in Maharashtra, where first FIR came to be registered for instigating communal tension and spreading hatred. So this was the first FIR. Then thereafter, the second FIR was registered with regards to the migrant problem in Bombay during lockdown. And thereafter, another third FIR was with regards to this TRP rigging case. And fourth, recently, last week, the FIR that is registered against the Republic TV is for the story which was published on 22nd October regarding the biggest story tonight, the show, wherein allegations were leveled against the police commissioner of Bombay. And the FIR says that the story, which was aired on 22nd October, tries to incite disaffection amongst police personnel against the police commissioner and also maligns the police image. So these are the four FIRs which have been registered in a couple of months' time. And probably, as it is being said by Republic TV, that this is a witch hunt and at the hands of the top leaders of Maharashtra. But the matters have reached the courts, and the courts are hearing the matter. But this raises two important questions. One is the freedom of press, and the second is what are the restrictions or reasonable restrictions that can be imposed, and whether the freedom of press is absolute and unfettered, or whether there can be any restrictions or there can be some reasonable restrictions which can be put on the right to press in India. With regards to this TRP case, the facts which have emerged are that uh, some houses whose TVs have been fixed with barometers were they were bribed to watch certain channels, so the certain channels TRP ratings would come high. And one of the TV channels, as alleged, is Republic TV, and the other two TV channels are some Maharashtrian local TV news channels. So this is the allegation against them, and this. against all these FIRs. Petitions have been filed before the High Court for quashing of these FIRs, as these FIRs, the accused say, are an abuse of the process law, and the matters are still pending before the High Court. Even one matter reached to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme four FIRs in a short period of time is slightly unusual, and also FIR based on some show saying that this incites disaffection amongst police personnel is also unusual, and probably this is the first time I am hearing that such FIR is filed against a TV channel based on such reporting. So certainly it is unusual, and it appears if four FIRs in a short period of time against one news channel, it appears to be some sort of it prima facie gives a picture that it appears to be some sort of a witch hunting targeting some person in the media. But let us talk about what is freedom of speech and expression, and how this covers the uh, gives right to the freedom of press, and also what can be the reasonable restrictions.
So
Freedom of speech and expression, yes.
before you begin on that subject, Jeet, in fact, I would like to also tell the viewers that the law which has been invoked against Republic TV has been invoked uh, after 98 years, and after 1928, even the British felt very in a hot seat when they were using this law to put the freedom fighters in jail. So even the British had a lot of challenges, and after from 1928 till India got independence, this law was not used by British, and it was used once again during the emergency. So this is a law under which Republic TV and its staff has been booked. Is a very rare uh, law which has never been used in independent India except during the emergency, and even during British Raj for a certain time it was used until 1928. So I think the use of such laws in India, in independent democratic, India, it's unprecedented. And I think, Jeet, you can talk about what is the impact of of this action by the government and the police of Maharashtra on the democracy of the entire Indian as a country, as a region.
Right. So you rightly pointed out this is the first time in modern history that such sections have been invoked and an FIR has been registered. So this shows that that this appears to be draconian, and it is rarely used, and therefore sometimes something which is rarely used can also be misused, and it seems to be an attack on the right of press in India, and therefore it has to be curtailed. And I think the High Court will come down heavily upon such FIR if it is found to be frivolous. But right now investigations are going on, and we will come to know ultimately at the end of the investigation. But you are right that such sections are not usually invoked, and it is very rare, because it always raises a question regarding the freedom of press, which it is a fundamental right not just of the press houses but also of the citizens to get information. So, so therefore, this does raise some important questions on democracy and the right of citizens, and also the rights of these media houses who are providing information and running the news channel. But what can be the reasonable restrictions? So, freedom of speech is guaranteed under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, and it involves the right to express by word of mouth, writing, printing, picture, or any other matter. And it includes the freedom of communication and the right to propagate or publish one's views. So this is the freedom of speech and expression, which is guaranteed under the Constitution and is a fundamental right of every citizen in this country. Even the press and media have the same right of freedom and expression, because there is no particular right of media under the Constitution except the freedom of speech and expression. So this is the right of media is covered under Article 19(1)(a), that is the freedom of speech and expression. So it gives the right to right to an individual to write, publish, circulate, and broadcast information. The press derives this right from right to freedom of speech and expression in Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. The restrictions under the Constitution which can be imposed on this right are given under Article 19, subclause 2, which constitute reasonable restrictions. And this can be on the ground that the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India is being compromised, or the security of the state, or the friendly relations with foreign state, or it disturbs public order, public decency, morality, or it is in relation to contempt of court, or defamation, or incitement to an offense. So these are the 5 or 6 restrictions which are imposed under the Constitution. And I will again repeat, they are if it compromises the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of the country, the security of the state, it harms the friendly relations with foreign states, or it disturbs public order, public decency, or it is harmful to the morality of the country, or it is in relation to contempt of court, or it is defamatory, or it incites, or it is an incitement to an offense. So these are the 6 or 7 restrictions which are imposed under the Constitution. Apart from this, if it does not cover, if any reporting or if any writing or any type of information does not disturb the security of the country or harms the morality, public decency, or public order, or it is in contempt of court, then the press has a right to express and give its opinion and give a fair reporting of the matter.
So for
So
an
these are the restrictions. Yes.
for an average Indian, I think they are totally dependent on what they hear from the press. And if the press is muzzled like this with malicious intent, um, can they really do it? I mean, is there a provision in the law to prevent such malicious activities which are malified?
So, as I said, that these are the restrictions under which the right of press is covered. But if it does not fall under this any of these restrictions, then the right to an extent is absolute, and it is most important right under the Constitution. So there cannot be any malicious attack on the freedom of press. But within the reasonable framework of law, if any information which is given is of such a nature which is not in public order, or it is not in the morality, or it is not it incites communal tension, then certainly action can be taken. But then because it is a fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression, it has it has to be strictly um, given full liberty, and unnecessary or trivial sort of restrictions should not be. That is important because it's a fundamental right. It is not an ordinary civil right. It's a fundamental right, and therefore any restriction which is supposed to be imposed on these rights will have to be very strictly construed, and only if it is strictly falls within the parameters or the restrictions, then only it can sustain. Otherwise, it is an attack on the fundamental right. So therefore, courts do come down heavily upon such attacks on fundamental right.
So I think, Jeet, in fact, we used to see these kind of things only in movies, but I think now we are seeing this in real life, where the benefactor of law are really becoming the villains. It appears so. We don't know. I think the matter should be decided by the courts, but it appears so.
Right. So yes, 4 FIRs in a very short period of time, it is slightly unusual, and it to a ordinary eye would appear to be a sort of a witch hunt. But ultimately, the courts have to decide, and it is at large before the court. So that we must trust the courts in this country, and I'm sure the courts will come up with the correct decision. But basically, the rights of the media, if I may just point out, broadly, which are given under the Constitution and by way of several judgments of the Supreme Court, is one to publish and circulate information and opinions, which is part of the right of freedom of speech and expression. Also, the right to dissent, which is not to agree with any opinion or given dissent to any of the policies or uh, framework of the government. And it is right to receive information, which is the right of every citizen. The right to conduct interviews. The media persons have a right to conduct interviews, and that have been that is a part of right to freedom of speech and expression. Then there is right to report court proceedings, because media persons, journalists have a right to attend proceedings in court and uh, publish a proper and faithful report of the proceedings that are witnessed and heard in court. Then right to advertise, that is also part of right to freedom of speech and expression, and it has been upheld by the Supreme Court in several judgments. These are broadly the rights of the press and media, uh, which are which have been interpreted and given brought under the meaning of right to freedom of speech and expression by various judgments of the Supreme.
Jeet, I have a fundamental question, and you can probably express your opinion. Like in United States, if there is a malified and false implication of anyone by the authorities, the people who are involved in those kind of activities have to pay the damages from their own pocket. So, do you think the time has come to basically build these laws so that the power cannot be misused in India?
Well, yes, that's a very important question, because a lot of times we see that wrong prosecutions are initiated and ultimately it results into acquittal. And acquittals, ultimately, it is a waste of public money, waste of court's time, that illegal and wrongful prosecutions were initiated. So time has come that the responsibility should be fixed upon these persons, and they must be made accountable, those who initiate wrong prosecution. But there is a provision under the IPC wherein if anybody initiates wrong prosecution, they can be held liable. But with regards to tortious liability, that is compensation, I think that law must now develop, and courts must grant high compensation. And that, yes, you are right. That to that extent, yes, I agree that now the time has come that compensation should be awarded in cases where wrongful prosecutions have been initiated.
So I think, Jeet, I think it was very useful for us to understand this whole scenario, because we are seeing in the TV every day, but I think some of the viewers may not know the implications. I think thank you so much for covering this in quite a good detail, and I think you have also expressed your opinion what should be done next. So it was a pleasure talking to you this morning, Jeet.
Thank you very much, Chandrakant, for having me and discussing on this topic.
So we will catch up next Thursday again on some other legal topic. Until then, I say you goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.